Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So we're going to get a little bit deep. What is the narcissist's last words? What do they look back on? I just watched a pretty profound video that I'd like to share with you guys. Sometimes we wonder what is going to happen to the narcissist in old age. I have different comments on different videos I've done where they're like, nah, they're not going to be all alone. They're going to have the children turn against the other parent and they're going to have that child secured. A lot of times those children later on in life do turn against the narcissistic parent, or they are trauma bonded, so they're still there but the connection isn't there. It's a toxic situation, it's existing. So when narcissists look back on their life, what did they think? A lot of them have gone through many relationships, several divorces often. Also too, if you're thinking about the new supply, it often doesn't last. It might last several years, but that seed of toxicity is going to flourish. It's going to destroy the relationship. And you see it over and over again. People don't learn from the toxicity, how to change it. And narcissists are so entitled that they are searching for who they are their whole life. And the statement that this guy said his father said was, I never knew who I was. I never knew who I was. And, to live your whole life searching for who you are. There are times during our life that we're searching. It is okay to try different things. If you wanted to be a nurse and you're like, I can't handle the blood, what do I do now? But your identity shouldn't be in your occupation. Your identity should be who you are. That's why narcissists in relationships, they fall apart because once it gets to that stable part, and if you guys can comment below, that's when mine uh, blew up, is because it was stable. And that's when it should flourish. When it becomes in that comfort zone where the honeymoon stage is gone, where you're not hyper vigilant about like, oh my gosh, you're so wonderful and thank you. And we should say thank you, but it's more of like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that, as opposed to, ooh, the narcissist feeds off of that stuff and you can't have a comfort with them. You have to overstroke their ego. And it also changes it too. Like, it's so weird. Narcissists, um, even when we do that, we're still devalued. It just gets to that point where they're like, no, I tasted this comfort. I don't like it. Don't ever want to go back to that. And then when they see us trying, they twist it like, it's not genuine, or they don't believe it. They don't believe that they're worthy of the praise, even though they crave that praise. Deep inside, they're like, it doesn't mean anything. Or it can become overused, to where it's not appreciated. It's not taken as truly meant. Um, and looking back on their life, you know, uh, they really don't go, I wish I would have done this different, or um, they they don't really look at the past. They look at the present. When they look at the past, um, they look at what they're missing because of how they handled things. They don't look at the people that they hurt. They can recognize they hurt the people, but it's not a deep sorrow or sadness for how they acted. It can bring up anger. Like, that motherfucker did this, that, they deserve that I left, or I couldn't stand them anymore because they cried too much. And when you don't handle certain situations, it can get to where you cry too much. Like I did, I cried way too much. I called too much. But they don't nip things in the bud. And sometimes, just a hug, or an apology. Um, And, you know, this YouTuber had said, I believe the father had 4 marriages, um, believes there was a half sister, he has a brother. It was never enough. And also too, like the father, kind of had an attitude like, well, they're just a couple years old, 6, 7 years old. If they need me, they'll find me. To where the stability is taken. It's not the child's responsibility. The father should be stable and provide fatherly love instead of wanting the child to need him before he's in the life. Um, he should offer that stability, not come find me. Maybe not force certain things. Usually, um, children, it depends on the court system. 12 to 17 years old depends on the court system. They don't enforce forcing the kid to go to the other parent. Too many kids run away. There comes a point where the courts will be like, yeah, they're 15, but they don't want to go back to whoever. They don't have to. They will let the child, depending on maturity, make that decision. So if you're going through a custody battle with a narcissist, that's one thing that you can think of is, there will come a point where the child is not going to be forced. If the child wants to go, you know, uh, hopefully it's a healthy situation, but, and they're not trauma bonded, they're treated the right way. It takes narcissists a while for whatever relationship to get devalued, and they will do it to the children. They will do it to the children eventually. They'll do it with the new supply. They did it with you. And when they look back on life, they don't look about the damage that they did to other people's lives. They look at the damage that was done to their lives. And they did it to find out who they were. They wanted their identity to be from outside sources instead of being whole within them. And when you're searching on the outside for other people to control who you are, to feed who you are, especially with the poor communication, they're not going to say you don't, I'd like to be appreciated. We do that. We're like, I'd like to be appreciated. We're saying who we are. The narcissist doesn't even know what they want sometimes. So they give up. They, with the way that they lie, it causes us to question ourselves, and we know who we are, and we don't understand why the situation is being brought to us. So the more time goes on, the more we question who we are. We lose our self-esteem, where our boundaries are being broken. We're trying to make things better. We don't mind compromising or sacrificing, but it gets to the point that it's depleted who we are. So now we have to rebuild and get whole within ourselves again. The narcissist spends their whole life destroying relationships because it is all one-sided. And it gets confusing because they go through cycles where they do give and they take away, and they give and they take away. But each time it's like less and less because they're taking more and more. So the balance just gets off. It just takes time for that balance. If you think about it, you take one little piece of grain and put it on the other side, it's going to take a while before your eyes are going to see what's really going on. And that's what happens. It's going to happen with the new supply. Right now, it might be like, oh, that's fixable. That's fixable. I'm trying. Like, whoa. It's almost like it happens overnight. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's why we're like, whoa, we didn't see it coming because it was so slow sometimes. Sometimes it's years, decades. They talk about the frog that goes into the water. You boil that water slow enough, they don't know they're getting cooked. They're getting burned alive. And we have to look out for those red flags. If that frog could see that there's a flame underneath that plant pot, and they had the mental capacity to understand that you're in a pot with water and flame underneath, that's not healthy. It's going to lead to your death. We have to look out for the red flags. We have the mental capacity. We have to clear that brain fog and think logically instead of emotionally. You know, it's really hard when you love the person, and when it's confusing, and when the research material that you have is all jibble jabbled, where you're like, okay, did he cheat? He wasn't where he was supposed to be, but he said this, but then this. Like, our information, whether it's cheating or lying or going to work or calling off, or the money was lost or was it spent? We have a new TV, but you said you lost the money. Like, we're all confused. Like, how do we do this research to get this closure that we need? We have so much faulty information. Throw out all that research material. It's all bullshit. You have to weed through so much. You're not, it's too tarnished to even know what the true story is. So our closure, and this is the hardest thing, our closure has to come within us, and we have to accept we might not get concrete answers. And I relate it to my religion. I won't get really deep into religion, but this is how I compare getting closure. I have my belief in my God, and I see certain things, and I have to believe. I have to let the concrete evidence, I have to let that go and just accept what I accept for my religion. My beliefs. I just have to believe. So just like take our evidence and believe it's over. That for my religion, I don't need the concrete before I'll believe. So we don't need the concrete before we give ourselves closure. We're not going to get the concrete. Just like I believe in Jesus. You know, you can show me all this evidence. It's from so many years ago. That, is it concrete? Is the interpretation correct? Is this and that? Like, you can question everything till the day you die. Or, you know, sometimes religion does make us feel whole. Some of you are not believers. The one thing that really upset me about my mother, I don't care if you guys, it's up to you if you believe, don't believe, which God you believe in. The one thing that upset me about my mom is that I don't know what I believe, and I don't care. At least know what you believe in. It could be your salvation, it could be a peace within your heart, or just knowing who you are. I think that's pretty profound. If you want to dismiss Christianity, Judaism, Muslim, whatever you want to dismiss, you know, at least because it's what you feel. And with our narcissist, we can dismiss the relationship because of what we feel. Are we happier than we're sad? We're pretty sad. Is our narcissist trying to be there for us in a healthy way? Are they consistent? Are they loving? Are they giving? Or are they argumentative? Like, think about the way they discuss things. They turn everything around on us, and we have a lot of hurt in our hearts, and we have to let that go so it can fill up with our inner love, our inner peace. And in the end of their life, the people that will be around them are people who are either trauma bonded, people who feel obligated, people who are paid, or narcissistic people who want the supply of, oh, I'm such a great person, I take care of this person, so maybe you can help me out with my bills, or whatever, or to to cash in on the inheritance. Those are all users, or people who are trauma bonded. But even in a trauma bond, it's not a true connection. It's one way. So they're surrounded by narcissists. They're they missed out on a true connection, but in the end, they look back and they're lost. So, we're having a lost soul lead us through our lives. And that can only lead us to being lost ourselves, because we tried to redirect it, take the relationship in the right direction. The narcissist doesn't allow that. That's when you get discarded or argued with so much that you go down that lost path. Two lost people end up lost. The narcissist doesn't follow the healthy person. If they did, it could work. Narcissists might last for a little while, but then they're going to go down their own path and expect us to follow. They're not happy with going down the right path, and they end up lost. They seek validation through praise, through financial success, through popularity, and all those things later on in life dissipate. Whether, let's say you had 100 friends, the older you get, sad but true, your friends are going to start to die off, whether it's cancers, old age, accidents. They're going to dwindle. They're going to have less of a support system. They're going to feel more entitled. They're going to start to freak out a little bit. Their finances are probably going to dwindle. Some people are great with stocks, so it's not always. So, they can still pay people, but that's got to do something to you too. Like, nobody wants to be around me unless I pay for things. They're going to feel entitled, so they're going to start to feel angry. They're going to push the ones that did stick by away. They're going to take advantage of them. Where you're like, I can take you Thursday, and they're like, well, why can't you take me Monday also? And you're like, I'm trying to do my part, but they want their lives supported by us, to where we have to sacrifice our life and be at their beck and call, at their service. And they're going to die alone in their heart if they don't know who they are. This part is the first person that matters. They talk about on the airplane, take your oxygen first, then give it to your child. Because if you're not healthy, if you're not surviving, the rest isn't going to survive. The rest isn't going to be cared for. So the narcissist missed the boat. And looking back on their life, it's all about them still. And the regret, it's still about them. I regret more people don't want to be around me. I regret, they're not like, I regret what I did to these people, or they would have stayed with me. It's a twist in the intent. It's a twist in the type of love, the depth of the love. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's what they want. They just want to have the power for everything to serve them, and it corrupts so many lives. So looking back on life, the narcissist is empty and still lost. Don't go down that lost path when you're ruminating to get back with them. Because just like that father, 4 divorces, it takes time when they're with a new supply. Some of us get jealous of that. It's just unfolding. The toxicity is flourishing. You know, they talk about, you know, 1 molecule splits into 2. Those split, it's 4. 4 split, 16. It takes time for it to exponentially grow. And the narcissist, their relationship will exponentially fall apart. So please comment below on the narcissist that you know, what it was like in the end of life for them. Do they become needy? Are they angry? Or are they content? Like, I lived a good life. Are they reaching out and saying, thanks for sticking by me, or I appreciate what you did for me. I'm sick, I don't have much time, but I wanted you to know I love you. Or are they ticked off? So please like and subscribe. One-on-ones are available, and I'll see you in the next video.